So hello, sir. Welcome to INS. And
Namaste.
I want to start off by asking that you have given us great cinema as a storyteller, as a maker of films, stories from Maharashtra that have gone on to explode on the national level, be it Tanaji, or Lokmanya. As a storyteller who comes from the background of Maharashtra, the state has a very rich history, very rich culture. When you make such films for a larger audience, pan India or say international worldwide, what are the prerequisites that are there in your mind? कि ये चीज़ तो होनी ही चाहिए.
Namaste. Thank you very much for having me. It's a very good question. That how does one actually make stories to go on a national level or even an international level? So I personally feel that I want to tell the grassroots stories. I want to tell the stories that are rooted deeply into our culture. I want to tell the stories that are about Indian heroes or Indian superheroes or Indian characters, male, female, doesn't matter. The stories that we have in our culture, the stories that we have in our great history of Bharat is something that I would like to tell. And because I come from Maharashtra and I am a Marathi boy, these are the stories that I actually was grown up with. These are the stories that were told to me by my grandparents, by my parents, my father, my mother. So 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 they have a very deep impact on you while growing up. And to be honest with you, जितना मेरी समझ में आया, जितना whatever I've understood, I'm only trying to recreate that into cinema. When it comes to Marathi, I think I'm an extremely proud Marathi boy. जो भी हमारी कल्चर की स्टोरीज़ है, और मैं महाराष्ट्र से आता हूँ, इसलिए मुझे मराठी कल्चर और मराठी जो हमारे इतिहास में जो महान व्यक्ति हुए हैं, आई हैव एन अट्रैक्शन टुवर्ड्स देम. एंड I somehow feel that there is so much contribution of all these people towards building the nation that we have today. जो आज का भारत है, the nation that we have today is a tremendous contribution of all these forces that have come to us over a period. I mean, pre-independence also, post-independence also. So there is a tremendous contribution that there is there. And जो एक हमारी ग्रास रूटेड सब्जेक्ट होते हैं, जो हमारे ग्रास रूटेड कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं, उनकी कहानियाँ कहने को मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. एंड इसीलिए लोकमान्य एक युग पुरुष की हमने जो हमारी टीम ने मैंने निर्देशित किया था, वो हमारी फिल्म बनी. फिर तानाजी, सूबेदार तानाजी मालुसरे के ऊपर हमारी फिल्म बनी, जो छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के लेफ्टिनेंट थे. अब ये जो लोग हैं, ये महाराष्ट्र की भूमि से ज़रूर आते हैं. इंस्पेक्टर झेंडे भी ये महाराष्ट्र की धरती से ज़रूर आते हैं, पर इनका कंट्रीब्यूशन जो है कि वो नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे. द वे दीज पीपल हैव एक्चुअली कंट्रीब्यूटेड टुवर्ड्स the richness of our nation is something that is very very important. And I somehow feel that जो मुझे ज्ञात है, मुझे वो लोगों को कहने को अच्छा लगता है. इंस्पेक्टर झेंडे की अगर बात कहूँ तो that is a story that my father was always attracted towards. My father was a journalist, और जब भी उनका कार्यकाल चल रहा था, when he was working, Inspector Jhende was also serving for Mumbai Police in here. And he used to always they had few interactions in the past. He has done few stories on him through his medium, through journalism, through newspaper. He had done few stories from him, and he was very very fascinated with the great achievements that Inspector Jhende has done for Maharashtra Police and Indian Police Force. So I only tried to use that into my medium, which is cinema. And that's how this film kind of came to life. And it's a very fascinating person. I mean, Inspector Jhende is 88 years old today. He's an absolutely dashing Mumbai police cop. And उनकी स्टोरी कहने में बहुत एक अलग तरह का सुकून मिलता है.
And moving further, आपने दो चीज़ें मेंशन की इस आंसर में. First is लोकमान्य तिलक जी. And the second thing was independence, story about independence, how India got the freedom after long struggle. Pre-independent India, there were two power centers of Indian freedom struggle. East में हमारा था कोलकाता, which was earlier the capital also. West का जो बहुत बड़ा ओनस था इंडियन फ्रीडम का, वो महाराष्ट्र ने संभाल के रखा था अपनी तरफ. बाल गंगाधर तिलक जी हो गए, सावरकर जी हो गए, मेनी मेनी मोर हीरोज, मेनी अनसंग हीरोज फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र. As a filmmaker who looks at every story, every character with utmost responsibility to bring them to life the way they deserve to be told. What are how do you craft these characters? क्योंकि हिस्ट्री में जो हुआ है वो एक अलग चीज़ है, पर उसको सिनेमेटिकली पर्दे पर उतारना, देयर समथिंग एक कुछ क्रिएटिविटी उसमें इन्वॉल्व होती है, कैरेक्टर आर्क्स होते हैं. सो व्हेन यू आर स्केचिंग दीज कैरेक्टर्स, व्हेन यू आर टेलिंग द लार्जर स्टोरी, how do you operate and how do you navigate that space?
So it's a quite fascinating process. I mean, just to kind of understand. I mean, somewhere the seed is there. I've always said that unless the subject touches you here, it will not touch here and here, right? So first and foremost, whether it is a subject, a event in the history, or a personality in the history, जब भी हम उनकी biography पढ़ते हैं, the simplest thing that I can tell you, if it touches you and if you get inspired from it, that is the only time you can actually come and tell that story, right? So जब भी हम ये बड़ी हस्तियों के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, when you read about them, or when you kind of meet with people and get inspired, I mean, I was told about Lokmanya Tilak's story by my father. I mean, he was also a journalist, and Lokmanya Tilak is considered to be one of the greatest journalists that this world has ever seen, right? So we've always looked at him as a central figure in our house. We have a beautiful portrait of Lokmanya Tilak in my parents' house. It's right there in the center of the living room. So he's always looked up as somebody who's very, very important in my family, in our upbringing. So when you kind of get inspired at such a level, about these great people, there is something that they're teaching, that they're the learning from their life, their उनके जो आचरण है, उनके जो विचार है, उससे हम कुछ ना कुछ सीखते रहते हैं. And when you want to make a film on them, you obviously do hell lot of research. You do ton of research, and then there are experts, there are historians, there are writers, they're all part of your team, and then you kind of work with them to kind of tell a narrative. You kind of try to tell a story, and when you're trying to tell the story, you kind of define what are the points that you want to kind of tell in a particular way, and that is how you kind of start building the structure of the film that you want to tell, or the story that you want to tell. And when you're doing that, I mean, it might sound stupid, but it's always a reality. Somebody who's very senior to me, a very senior director, actually told me, who's also done a lot of biographies and historical films, that anytime you start to make out a film, बिकॉज इनकी इतनी बड़ी करियर होती है, इनका कर्तृत्व इतना बड़ा होता है, द अचीवमेंट्स आर सो बिग एंड लार्ज, and there are so many nuances that it is practically impossible to put everything into a 2.5 hour long film. It is impossible. You can't do that. But you still select few things which kind of help you navigate through, and you try to come out with maximum characteristics of the character that you can come on to that you can put onto celluloid, which actually makes the final cut, right? And more often than not, the events and the episodes of their life that you have not selected in the film are always something that you feel that, oh, I should have put this because that this looks more important. This should have been there in the film. That's a feeling that even you get somehow internally. But I feel that these films can only, give you like a basic structure of what the man or the character could be, what the personality was. It can give you a simple 101. It can give you a simple, the basic nuances of the character, and the rest all is for people to actually sit down and absorb on their own. Having said that, cinema per se, the nature has to have some sort of entertainment, right? And entertainment does not mean only joking around and fooling. It also has to be engaging. I mean, if you look at some beautiful films that are made in the past, the recent one is an Oppenheimer, or Richard Attenborough's Gandhi, Lincoln. These are highly entertaining films, but they are, by entertainment, I don't necessarily mean that there are jokes or that they are funny or in any other way. They are gripping and they are engaging. So as long as you can tell somebody's bio in a gripping way, in a modern storytelling, because the today's audience is somebody who is going to consume them. I think that's a balance that one needs to strike, and once you kind of achieve that, then it kind of I mean, the effort is to kind of try and make it happen and tell it in the right way.
And talking about Maharashtra, there's a reason it's called Maharashtra.
Maharashtra.
Yeah,
Maharashtra.
very diverse culture. The landscapes are very different. We have Sahyadri in the
Mountain
west.
range. Yeah.
We have Khandesh, an arid land like Khandesh also. Five different
6 provinces.
6 provinces of Maharashtra. Marathi theatre is one of the strongest pillars of
Yes,
our
of
Indian
course.
theatre ecosystem, along with Gujarati and Bengali. Uh, Being a Maharashtrian boy, living in the state of Maharashtra, traveling to all these far off places in the state, Sindhudurg, Jalgaon, all these places, how has it shaped the filmmaker and the storyteller or the artist?
See, everywhere that you go, I mean, भारत ये विविधता में एकता वाला हमारा राष्ट्र है. There is unity in diversity in our nation, and I mean, I can talk a little bit about Maharashtra. Is every small district has its different culture. I mean, culture probably is the same as a different nuance. Everywhere you go, there is different food. The dialect changes a bit, and every district has few great personalities who have contributed towards the making of this state and towards the making of this nation. So every time you go somewhere, you go to the smallest town, you will find something which is very beautiful about it. You will go somewhere, and then there is something that you would want to tell, and then some of the stories are something that you actually want to tell onto celluloid. Many of them probably they will make it in future, somebody else will make it, but the idea is to tell the grass-rooted Indian stories onto the celluloid for the national audience and the international audience to consume. When we made Tanaji, we had a tagline, Tanaji the Unsung Warrior. Because outside of Maharashtra, Subedar Tanaji Rao Malusare and his sacrifice was not known by many people. I mean, if Tanaji Rao Malusare would have not done the bravado that he did and the sacrifice that he made, which is the greatest sacrifice, probably the history and geography of our nation would have been different. The southern Indian peninsula would have had a different tone to it. Like the capital in the north, they wanted to make in Delhi, they wanted to make the southern capital into Kondhana, right, which is known as Sinhagad today. And if Tanaji would have not scaled up with his brave Mawra and would have won the fort back for the Marathas, we would have seen a different, everything would have been different, right? So his sacrifice was not known by a lot of people outside of Maharashtra. But when we made Tanaji, and when the film got this tremendous response and when it became successful, I was very happy to say that Tanaji no more unsung. That was an extremely satisfying day for me and my entire team, because the job that we had set out to do had actually been completed. Inspector Jhende, on the other hand, is everybody knows, unfortunately, everybody knows the villain. Everybody knows the guys who did the bad job. But the guy who actually, the Mumbai police cop, who actually went and caught him, is relatively unknown. Now we are getting a chance to tell his story. We are getting a chance to tell his story from the hero's point of view, right? That is a great satisfaction that me and my team have, that we've had this chance to do it. Whether it is Chinmay, Chinmay Mandlekar, who's the writer and director of this film, the way that he's telling the story is extremely interesting, and Netflix is on board. Netflix is it's a Netflix film, and the advantage of working with Netflix is they have tremendous knowledge because they release so many films across the world, right? So they have tremendous know-how about how to tell a particular how to mount a particular film. So it becomes extremely important for us to kind of work with them, and the need for an artist is to reach a larger audience, right? Need for an artist is to reach as many people as you want, as you can. And with Netflix, what happens is the film gets delivered to over 100 nations, right? I think the number is quite large, about 129, but don't quote me on the number. It's over 100 nations. So now, as we watch Spanish films, we watch Japanese, Korean content on Netflix in India. People outside in Spain or in Europe or somewhere else in the US or even South America, even in Asia, people do watch overseas content. So Netflix actually enables you to tell our story of our this our Marathi cop who did this great job to international audience. So that always becomes an advantage, and it's a fascinating journey to have that we've had with Netflix on working on this film.
And in the past few days, there has been some disturbance in Maharashtra with regards to mostly the language conflict. People who might not be very privy to the language, they have been targeted. So, what would be your opinion with regards to what all has been going around in the state so far?
Akshay, I'm an artist, and I would like to remain an artist. Uh, this has got some political connotations to it, and as an artist, I would like to be independent of it.
And talking about Inspector Sende, you said that this is the first time we are telling the story of a cop through the hero's point of view. You also said that people know about Char Shomraj and what all went behind. Uh, when you bring stories of such unsung heroes with the focus and the aim of to make them big and to add a remembrance value to them for the audience, when you go on making such stories, what's the process like between you as a producer and the director? What's the creative exchange like? What's the creative wavelength that both of you or the entire team operates on?
See, Akshay, I think the hat changes when you are producing versus when you're directing. I think director is always the captain of the ship, and I have worked under when I was only a director. I have had that pleasure of having brilliant producers. Whether it is my first film Lokmanya or Tanaji, which Mr. Devgan was the producer, and I've had tremendous support from them and tremendous how should I say this, liberty to do what you want to do and back the director as much as you can. I was also a first-time Hindi film director with Tanaji, and the way Mr. Devgan kind of supported me, I think similarly I'm trying to just learn from him and trying to put it out in my production where I'm not producing, I'm only directing. I'm not directing, I'm only producing. So I'm also trying to do something similar, wherein your job remains the backroom boy, your job remains to enable and empower the director to do what he wants to do, and support them as much as you can. And I think that's where the job ends. At the end of the day, Chinmay Mandlekar is the captain of the ship. The director is the captain of the ship, and we are all there. Me, my producing partners, all of us are there to support him the way he needs to be supported and move forward.
And how would you define yourself as a producer? Do you like to get into?
I think I can't really define myself as a producer. Maybe you should talk to Chinmay, and then maybe he can tell you how am I as a producer. He'd be a better person to ask this question. But I think I'd like to remain the backroom boy and let the director do what he wants to do and just support him in whichever way you can. And you're always there to answer questions and whenever the team needs you, you should be standing with them.
And given that you switch from director to producer in this film, it's representing, does switching of the director completely come naturally to you, or you have to put an effort in let Chinmay take this call or something like that?
See, every new job requires a new you. Every new level in your life requires a new you. So you have to reinvent yourself. So incidentally, when we started this film years ago, just after Tanaji, I was supposed to direct this film, and I had Chinmay actually come in as a writer because it was my father's dream. So I had Chinmay to actually come and write this film for me, because Chinmay and I go along since my first film, and we're also friends, but we also work together. So and then we had a lot of research, and Chinmay also did a lot of research after that. So he got everything, and then he went to write a draft. And after he came back and we did a narration, I realized this is a very different draft. This is a very different take on the story, very different than what I could have told. So that's when I suggested him, and in a conversation, I said, you know what, this is a very different film. This is a very different take. This is a different film versus what I would have made. So why don't you take a shy of directing it, because this is very different than what I thought the film would be. And he thought for a second, and he said, you know what, let's try it out. So that's how it was born. So from a writer, he became a writer director of this film. And that's the signal that one should take a back seat and stay on the bench and let the director do what he wants to do. Obviously, then Mr. Bajpayee, Manoj Bajpayee sir, got on board, and what a treat of an actor to work with. I mean, sometimes you feel like such a great actor that is actually working in the film, and you are not directing, you are there, you're sitting on the side. I mean, and then just seeing them perform, it's a great treat. One day, God willing, I will get a chance to direct Mr. Manoj Bajpayee sir, and hopefully that will happen soon. But things like that. So it's a great experience. It's a lovely changing of hat, and it's a new role, and I am actually having good time.
And I was looking around the place, it's very tastefully done. I want to know about your aesthetics.
Our office?
Yeah.
Oh, you should take a tour. You should take a tour.
Oh,
You should take a tour.
As a storyteller, I want to know about your sense of aesthetics, because you make these grand films. Of course, they have to look a certain way. There's a huge aesthetic value to it, production design, the colors and everything, the texture. How to define your aesthetics as a storyteller?
Yeah, it is very difficult. My films actually talk about it. Now, how can I talk about it? It's not, and you can see maybe somewhere around the office you can see. But I think I'm a very minimalist guy. I like minimal design. Um, Less is more is what I feel, and that's the way I would like to be.
So, for my final question, as a Maharashtrian boy who's grown up in this state, what's the cuisine that you love the most? Is it the Kolhapur, the Konkan, Malvan, or what everything?
I love food. I love food. It's very difficult to kind of pick what I would like to eat. What I really love to eat. I love, I mean, if I go to Vidarbha, I would like to eat Sauji. If I go to Pune, I would like to eat the misal from there. When I come to Konkan, I would like to eat, the coastal food. If I go to Khandesh, I would like to eat the Khandeshi. So I think if I go to Kolhapur, Satara, Sangli, that belt, the Marathwada, Western Maharashtra, that side, I'd like to eat the Dhangar style food. So I think it kind of every region that you go in Maharashtra, or anywhere in our nation for that purpose, or anywhere in the world, I believe in eating the local food, right? I believe in eating, because everything local has a very, 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 very strong taste. And I mean, I can keep on talking about food for hours, but anything that's locally made from that region is something that I would like to eat. If I want to eat pizza, I would either eat it, in Brooklyn, in New York. I won't eat it in Chicago, or I'll go to Maples, or I'll go to somewhere in Italy and have pizza. I'm not having pizza, somewhere. Yeah, I'm not eating it here. So it has to be absolutely peculiar, perfect. It has to be from that region. It has to be the local taste, and anything that is local is something that I love to eat.
And for my final question, while the films across the regional cinema industries of India, they have been dubbed and exchanged in various languages, this pan-India film movement had really picked up in the last 10, 12 years, especially after Bahubali.
Yeah, after Bahubali, I think Entran was one of the first one to kind of cut across. Igga, Entran, Igga, I mean, Robo, Makhi were the films that translated. I mean, in the recent history, and obviously Bahubali 1 and 2 changed the complete landscape, and Pushpa took it to a different level. KGF, phenomenal journey. I mean, that only shows that we are one nation, no matter which language the film is made in. There is an audience across the nation. As I've always said, we have the unity in diversity. It doesn't matter where the film is made. If it's presented into the larger audience, there is a strong audience to it.
And is it the greatest time to be an artist currently?
I think every time is great. I mean, Renaissance was the best time. Was a really good time where the art really flourished and went to a different level. I think we all need to keep on finding the Renaissance every time. I personally feel that the way India and the Indian cultural and arts is flowing right now, I think we are just about in that space, or maybe a little bit pre, but we are definitely entering it. That's just a personal opinion, and I think we have something different that is played out. And trust me, it goes beyond cinema. I think it gets very strongly into new media. It gets very strongly into the digital world. The 3.0 is what we're all fancily calling it. I think it's cutting very sharp, and I'm very sure that not just Indian but Asian Renaissance is just around the corner. That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
Okay, perfect.
I know you don't ask for opinions, but it's just my opinion.
So that we have reached.
Your T-shirt says so.
If there's anything that I may have missed asking as a question, something that you would have loved to talk about, so please speak.
No, I think I'm good. Anything that you want to know, if it's not an opinion, I'll give it to you.
So on that note, thank you so much, Om sir. It was a pleasure having this conversation, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you so much for having me.